slippery elm, and that wild touch-me-not, and alcohol, maybe some yellow root, and that's it.
What's good for a nosebleed?
Lay your finger right there under your nose and just bite down.
Doc says he has lots of satisfied customers, but sometimes the herbs just ain't good enough.
What about that salve that you gave for that man's mule?
Oh, by grab, you want to mention that clown fan, do you? Next time I was up there, I said, you put that salve on that mule here? Yeah, and the mule dead.
Is a lot of that up here, these cures, some of these cures, is it
No,
all mental?
by grab, it's not imagination, buddy. If you've got to eat or something or other and rub on some of that marker lotion and it stops hurting, you know it, don't you? Yeah.
Who's to say how much good herbs do? All we know for sure is that at 74 years of age, Doc Barton sparkles with life, relishes the sound of laughter, and it's good medicine just to be around him.
And another one of my buddies, there hadn't been a baby at his house in 12 years. He come back to work a little later, said, buddy, I got me a baby on the road. Oh. Said, if it's a boy, I'm going to call it old Doc. Yeah. That yellow root, that could be dangerous as dynamite. That little, some of it comes up better than that other. Good root, you know. And that'd be good to sit out too, that little. You want to cut some of it out. Yeah, you got your...
About an acre cleared and always right back among the bears, bobcats.
You could hear him a-calling the sheep plain to look over off up yonder.
Well, I was coming out there as a dating a girl, a walking to that red light, or anything. Just feeling my way.
Listen very closely, for the sound is vanishing. It was the daily song of the mountaineer. It is the language of our ancestors. Its roots survive in the southern mountains. Mountaineers have long been ridiculed for their speech. They seem to have no concept of grammar, and so they appear ignorant. Quite the opposite is true, however. It's not that mountaineers use poor grammar, they use an earlier one.
We're following grammatical rules that are centuries old, and we're doing it consistently.
Listen to the way Wiley Oakley from the Great Smoky Mountains said the verb waiting.
I was just waiting for her to call me.
Men like Wiley have been a-waitin' on their brides, a-comin' and a-goin' since the days of Chaucer, when the letter A appeared in verbs ending with ing.
She was a-crying 'cause she couldn't get home.
Molly Julian from Roan Mountain does this too. She also does something with the letter R that may have its roots in the lowlands of Scotland.
All Scots love the R. Now, they trill their R. We no longer make that trilling sound in Appalachia, but we love the R so much that we insert it into words where it doesn't even belong.
And I think the branch got up and washed it off.
Wash. Mountaineers will pronounce an R every chance they get.
But Dad, a man ought to be a good hand if he'd save his life.
Ray Hicks from Banner Elk, North Carolina, has one of the oldest mountain dialects in the country. Listen carefully to the way he says the word helped.
You my man, said you hope me I.
Ray says hope. It was the original past tense of help about 600 years ago. Helped is a more modern form.
Our usage has remained the same. It is the usage of the rest of American English and British English that has changed.
I don't know what they made out of it, but anyway, it's poison.
The word hit first appeared in Old English over 1,000 years ago. The H has been lost through the years, but you can still find it in the mountains.
Yeah, it's ready to wash.
So it got down here at the old May's store. You ever seen it?
Why do these old forms still exist in mountain speech? Because our ancestors were storytellers, and in the isolation of the mountains, the sound of the spoken word was treasured. Listen to the music in Wiley Oakley's speech.
So I started out the door. I looked back and she sort of smiled and said, "You ought to give me a lock of your hair before you leave me up here in these wild mountains." So it made me a little madder. And I just
We have the richest American dialect there is. Appalachian English flows and rolls. It's melodic. It's rhythmic.
Oh, well, no, it ain't true. It's just some jokes that we always would tell, you know, who was around them old grocery stores, sitting by the stove, you know. Then another thing...
It is a dialect for storytellers, and it lives only in the sound of spoken words. Our storytellers are changing, and so is the sound. Today, mountain speech faces its greatest threat.
It changes for sure.
Dan Rattle reporting. You got
Got a new hat?
Change their lives forever. The same sources say no other officers are implicated.
That's all we had. We had nothing else to look to for no cheer up or a feeling, you know.
They're moving up the Tennessee Valley. In a few years, they'll be all over East Tennessee. You probably won't see them, but you can hear them. At night, out in the country, the call of the coyote.
Roscoe, how long have the coyotes been in this country?
Well, the first thing I know of was caught was about 10 years ago.
We first met him trapping, then again fishing. Roscoe Stinnett is a Heartlander from way back. We knew if we wanted to get on the trail of a coyote, we needed a man like Roscoe.
Big old round track. Well, I get on a high place and look off, because, you know, if you get up on that mountain, you can see every bit of movement is down here. That's where them old coyotes right now is. They're up here on this mountain. You can see up there. They're up there laughing at it right now.
You think they are?
Why, they know we're here.
Most people have never seen them.
They won't. They won't never see them. You wouldn't, if you didn't know we were with somebody here, you wouldn't know that was a coyote being right there. See, it's this right in here, kind of a heart shape. See here?
What do they eat?
Eat rabbits, quail, wild turkey, people's ducks, chickens, any kind of fowl. And kill a lot of sheep, young calves. They've even been eating watermelon, to tell me. Gonna eat a bunch of watermelon for a fella. Eat his watermelon patch up.
Coyotes are easy to please, but hard to get rid of. Tennessee is now home to 50,000 coyotes, mostly in the western part of the state, but they're headed this way. We decided to match wits with him, to draw him out in the open with a tape recording of the coyote's territorial howl. And so we set out to wait for nightfall.
Will we know one if we hear it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'll know it. It'll make your hair stand on your head. You was out by yourself and didn't know what it was. Here.
What's the tape?
Oh. Yeah.
You serious?
Yeah. Sure is. Yeah? Make the hair stand on your head, buddy.
But it was only the more traditional animals that came out of the dark to see what all the racket was about. But the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency says they're here, and they gave us this footage to prove it.
Here's the whole thing about it. He's smarter than any other animal. If they're dumb, they don't last long, because the trapper will get them. They can catch them if they're dumb. That's why they get smarter all the time. They're harder to catch, get harder all the time. When he belongs here now, he's here.
He's here to stay, I'd say.
From the moment the sun comes up over Beech Mountain or the lonely ground to the north, you can hear him. Ray Hicks is a yarn spinner with a singular way of talking.
I know I'm odd. And I ain't been trained, I just the way I learned to talk. It's my grandfather's no doubt where I've got back to. He can make a tale himself.
From his grandfather, Ray Hicks has inherited one of the oldest mountain dialects in the country. His people were Scots-Irish. They were storytellers, and Ray echoes their sound.
Well, I was coming out there as a dating a girl, a walking to that area light, or anything. I was feeling my way.
But his people were also farmers. From them, Ray not only inherited a way of speaking, but a way of thinking and feeling, a passion for the good earth.
Now, the way people used to work is hard of a summertime and clearing new ground in the spring. But when winter come, they'd get the rest and they'd get fat, eating that dried fruit and all that stuff that they dry. But now they'd fall off of working hard and having to grub all that and hoe with a hoe and dig their ground up. Didn't have nothing to plow with. And that's why they cleared all this ground up. I hope clear the last new grounds. Why they cleared so many new grounds is because they had nothing to plow with. The new ground, you just plant it. Dig holes and lay it off with a hoe and plant it. And gosh, if it's that lonely ground in this country, the northwest ground, sugar tree ground, it would grow corn then with no fertilizer. Fertilizer. Yeah, didn't know nothing about no fertilizer. Ground was fertile. And planted in corn, it made 2 and 3 years to stalk, and them cornfield beans run of it and pick a peck to the heel. A peck to the heel, that's 15 pounds. And the second year, you really got a yield. The second year. The first year broke it in, rotted it out. And then the second year, you planted Irish potatoes in. Third, you tended to the third year, and you get back the third year about what you made the first year. And then they throwed it out. Well, that's what happened. The storms washed it all off down in the valley, the topsoil. Well, it went on, and directly Mama says, Ray, I believe God's killed the ground. It went on, nothing wouldn't germinate to come up hardly. It'd rot in the ground, the seed would. 3 years and it's gone, and that's what caused it, way I worked here to build it back up, and all the other people on their land. That piece of ground right out there, it wouldn't sprout a pea. They thought ground was all you needed, just call it dirt. They didn't know it had no fungus of richness of the topsoil that God created to grow the food. They just thought plant it anywhere. And they finally got to planting. Is the reason we started sowing, the people now learn it. Finally got to plant and said plant it where it wouldn't grow weeds. God, where ground won't grow weeds, it won't grow no food. Yeah, my dad got to doing that. Said plant it where it wouldn't have to hoe it. And it wouldn't even come up. Corn would rot in the ground. And so I've been there, I went back to what I knowed and what just got back to it, just got to study. Now I raised right up here, patch, last 3 years of Irish potatoes without any fertile. And gosh, turnips was that big, sitting blue on top of the ground. Picked.
Every day begins in darkness here. He's seen every sunrise in the last 37 years. It's a little after 4 in the morning, and Mac Pate is at work, rounding up the cows for milking on his Greenback dairy farm.
Hey, out of here. Hey, let's go. Hey, out of here.
Cows have to be milked twice a day, every day.
What do you do like on Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Well, you still get up and milk the cows first.
When was the last time you had a break, had a holiday?
Well, as far as taking a vacation or anything like that, I haven't had one in a long, long time. I do take off and go to dairy meetings.
Automated milking and refrigeration have advanced dairy farming well into the 20th century, but it hasn't changed a way of life. Mac puts in as many hours as his father did, for technology has yet to reinvent the schedule of a cow and all the work it takes to keep them well fed and content.
Normally, I go to the house 6, 7 o'clock. And of course, in the summer months when you're putting up hay and harvesting grain and that sort of thing, it might be 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock.
This is work in its truest sense, for tending animals has always dealt with the basic realities of sweat, mud, and muscle. But as Mac Pate will tell you, not everyone is cut out for it.
Do you have any children?
I have one son. He has his PhD in music and is a college professor now.
But Mac has plenty of company down on the farm. The milk cows are constantly giving birth, and there's no better place for the cats he welcomes here.
At one point, we're covered up in rats, but the cats have eliminated them.
How many do you have?
Oh, I guess there's close to 50.
But his closest friend is named Sam.
Sam, go down there and get in the truck.
For the dairy farmer, each day is a continuous series of chores, the list changing only with the seasons.
One day you might be plowing a field, or the next day you might be putting up hay, or you might be repairing machinery, or you might be doctoring a cow. It's just something different most all the time.
But there's something that you always have to do.
There's milk the cows.
But Mac Pate is lucky. He likes his way of living just the way it is.
Dairy people have pride in their herd and their farms, and it's something that you really like and that you're proud of.
Is there anything else you'd rather be doing?
Oh, I don't think so.
This is Mutton Hollow in Jefferson County, where many homes are fragrant with the smell of a Christmas tradition. One look and you'll know how it got its name, and Maud Lindsay will teach us how to make it, an old-fashioned stack cake.
Stack cakes have been around for a long time, and the recipe I have has been handed down generation to generation.
In the mountains, it's called a fruit cake, although the fruit is mostly apples. The recipe is simple, but the process is as slow as Christmas, the only time of year most people have a chance to make a stack cake.
Oh, our apples are cooking good. They're getting back to their normal size before they were dried. Okay, let me check the recipe and see what's next. Bring on the baking soda, the baking powder,
Baking powder,
1 cup of white sugar,
salt,
salt,
white sugar. Right there.
two eggs,
White sugar, 2 eggs,
1/2 cup butter,
2 eggs, 2 eggs, spoon,
spoon,
2 spoons, 2 spoons,
2 spoons,
2 spoons, measuring spoons,
measuring spoons,
measuring spoons,
measuring spoons,
measuring cup,
measuring cups,
measuring cups, About running out of gear over here, Maud.
Bill, did you hide my measuring spoons?
Yeah, they're over here.
Okay, excuse me.
Sorry. We're making some progress now.
Good, good. We're getting there, aren't we? We'll have a cake for Christmas, won't we?
Mm-hmm.
Bill, did you get the vanilla in it?
Vanilla.
The vanilla, we'll need some flavoring in that cake.
Enough.
That should do it.
You deliberately got a small bowl for me, Maud, didn't you?
Well, it looks that way, don't it, Bill? Okay, Bill, pass the pans over here. We're ready to put it in the pans.
3 pans?
3 pans.
This-
Try your luck on one, Bill. Mine's ready to bake, Bill.
Oh.
Okay, Bill, you sling this one. Be careful, don't burn yourself. It's hot.
You got an extra one. Uh-oh. Dang, that hurt. Making a stack cake's kind of an endurance test, isn't it?
So, you make a stacked cake like you had been making stacked cakes forever.
It's like laying brick. How high can you go on a stack
Oh,
cake?
just as high as it won't stand. 8 or 10 is the highest I have ever seen one.
But the reason Maud makes her stack cake every year has nothing to do with the number of layers.
Most of all, I'd like to have my family all together at Christmas to eat this stack cake. It's not Christmas without a stack cake.
You start at hog killing time when it's clear and cold, really cold. You put up your hams and bacon and sausage, and you're left with this, the fat. At one time, it may have been more valuable than the meat because it was not only used to cook just about everything, hog fat was used to make what no close family could do without for very long, homemade soap.
Did you see your mama make this?
Many times. My mother and my aunt over a kettle just like this in the winter months, making soap. Same process we're using.
Tim Beats may have the memories, but it's his wife Linda who's learned the process.
Ready?
It's a process that begins with the making of lye. Water is added to hardwood ashes. Linda says hickory's the best.
Come on back to the front.
What trickles out at the bottom is lye. It will be added to the hog fat once it's rendered down into lard. The combination of the lye with the lard makes soap. Rendering the fat gives us a fringe benefit of soap making, cracklins. They'll end up in crackling cornbread before the day's through.
Is there anything you can't use out of that pig?
Well, old timers say the only thing you can't use out of a hog is a squeal. Just about everything else is usable. Well, they just about had to use everything back then. You know, there wasn't a grocery store down the road to go buy you a bar of soap. Or, you know, if you wanted to fry chicken, you had your lard.
Why is it turning like that?
It's a reaction of the alkali in the lye we've dripped off with the fat. It'll start becoming kind of like pudding. It'll get like pudding, and then it just gets thicker and thicker as you stir. To me, it's something that we're losing. Our children, you'd be surprised at people our age, even that don't know what soap is, where it came from. Daddy's got chores to do. You want to take over?
All right, don't get none on you.
Their daughter Michelle is home from school, and it's her turn at the kettle. Once you start making soap, you can't stop or the batch will be ruined.
You have to stay stirring. That's the work part of it. Once you start making your soap, you keep stirring it until it's ready to pour.
So you got 3 hours worth of stir.
Right.
We got 3 hours.
We have 3 hours worth of stirring. Well, when it gets to pudding stage, and what we call pouring it, that's where I'll dip it out of the kettle into this wooden mold.
You cut this like brownies?
Yeah, just like brownies.
In a day, this batch will become hard enough to make into cakes. Linda says if you wait 2 weeks before you use it, lye soap won't burn your skin.
And there's one good thing about it. You won't have to worry about breaking out in a rash or being allergic to it because of some kind of chemical or perfume that's been put in it.
It doesn't smell at all. I wish I could say the same for this. This is a hog bladder. Blow it up, and you've got a ball. On the old family farm, it was the only ball the children had to play with. It's proof that nothing on that hog was wasted, and it really makes you appreciate a good bar of homemade soap. For the Heartland series, I'm Bill Landry.
It was our first Christmas without Grandpa. We'd all missed him, Joey most of all, because they'd spent the summer fishing together and gotten very close. And now with Grandpa gone, I knew that this Christmas would be hard on my little brother, so I decided to look after him. The day before Christmas, he caught the biggest fish of his life. He was so happy and proud, and maybe this Christmas wouldn't be so bad after all.
Look, Mom, I caught a fish and I want to give it to Grandpa.
That poor little guy was worse off than I thought.
Joey, you know your grandpa's not here anymore. You know he's dead.
Well, I want to give it to him anyway.
I know you miss him, Joey. So do I. But he's gone. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, I want you to get rid of that fish. Go on.
Okay.
Mama's just trying to make him understand, but he didn't. I think missing Grandpa had made my brother a little crazy. Made him deaf, too, 'cause not 5 minutes later, he was in the house with that old slimy fish. I guess he figured folks lost their sense of smell during the holidays and we'd never notice.
Joey, that better not be that fish I smell.
Christmas Eve was the worst day of the year to be bad. He'd be trading in that fish for a lump of coal before long.
What did I tell you? You're in big trouble, young man. Joey?
He was in the clear for now, but he'd have to sneak that fish, ribbon and all, out of the house with Mama on the lookout. He just wasn't fast enough.
Joey, supper's ready. Come sit down.
What was happening in that boy's mind? He was taking his life in his hands bringing that fish to Mama's table.
Where you been, Joey?
You just passing through, stranger, or are you staying? Take your coat off, boy.
I smell that fish again. Joey, did you wash your hands?
Yes.
You smell that fish?
I don't smell nothing but your good chicken. I thought I told you to take that coat off.
I know I smell that fish.
Those cats sure like you, Joey.
Mama and Daddy were closing in, and so were the cats. And any minute it'd be all over Mama's kitchen floor. And then...
Now what time's it? The teacher says I have to go see the Christmas star.
Christmas star?
What's that boy talking about?
It worked. He was out of the house before they knew what hit him. I followed him outside. He ran down to Grandpa's favorite place in the whole world, down by the old spring. But watching him, I had to swallow hard. There was a lot more to my crazy little brother than I'd ever figured. And I knew he'd be all right. He had been all along. Tomorrow was Christmas. Joey had forgotten all about the fish by Christmas morning, till Daddy went to fetch some water.
You must have left this down by the spring.
Joey thought he'd been caught for sure, but something magical had happened overnight.
Look like this.
Them look like the lures Grandpa used to make.
Wow. Look, another one.
They're brand new, like you just made them.
Look. Wow.
Where'd you get them?
I think there's another one.
Joey never questioned where those lures came from, and I'm not saying either.